the diebuck box, which is a box that supposedly has an evil spirit in it. While he's touching that box,
It's right out of the movie.
Box Malone. Is he touching?
Hello, supernatural enthusiasts. Welcome to Beyond the Hub podcast, the go-to destination for all things mysterious and unexplained. I'm Nick, and alongside me is my partner in paranormal exploration,
Brandon. That's right, folks. Today we're going to be discussing what are the most haunted asylums and prisons. We also have some very exciting news. Your paranormal encounter could be featured later in the show. Stay tuned for spine-tingling discussions, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Paranormal, Haunted, Creepy Places, and Ghost Stories. Welcome home, and share your story for next week's show. Don't miss out. We have 4 different topics to discuss today. We're going to be diving into discussions about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, followed by the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, then the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky, and finally, Alcatraz in San Francisco, California.
So the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, has been a source of numerous paranormal claims. Here's a couple of anecdotes based on personal accounts.
First, I think it's important that we account for the treatment methods that were practiced here, which include insulin, shock therapy, which placed patients in comas, electroconvulsive therapy or shock treatment. They've even gone as far as performing lobotomies. What's your take on lobotomies?
My take on lobotomies, it was gruesome.
Yeah, I think it's very gruesome. I mean, it's experimental at the very least, because there's so much that we still yet don't know about lobotomies today. And back then, it was very. It's like it was cutting edge science, I guess, according to them in the time. Like, oh yeah, this is the new discoveries. This lobotomy will get out the mentally the parts that are causing a person to act in mentally deranged states or anything. And they've done lobotomies for depression, for like this just depression, man. For anything as simple as like I said, depression, to as crazy as people who are hearing multiple voices. Like, I just think lobotomies is a step too far. And I mean, they don't practice those anymore. As far as I know, do you know of any lobotomies that have been done in the recent, like, past 10, 20 years?
I don't recall.
I haven't heard of any. I think they've completely just ruled those out. But yeah, I think it's very important that we do note that these pretty horrendous treatment methods were used in a lot of these asylums, but this one specifically, we were talking about the Trans-Allegheny one. So what are some of these anecdotal experiences that have been reported?
Well, we got some voices in the halls. Visitors often report hearing mysterious voices echoing through the asylum's abandoned halls. Some claim to hear whispers, laughter, and even distressed cries, seemingly coming from unseen sources. The witnesses recount instances of disembodied conversations that leave a lingering sense of unease.
Disembodied conversations.
That's
now, are they having conversations with these, these voices in the hallways, or are they hearing conversations happening?
I think it might be both. I think the conversations have already happened, and it might be like an imprint left down there.
Oh, I see.
But that's my opinion.
That could be, if that's the case of what's happening there. Do you think there's some sort of like echo through time kind of thing going on there? Or do you think it's like an event that just keeps replaying over and over and over again there because of the horrendous nature of the activities that happen there?
The last one,
yeah.
They've also seen apparitions in the shadows. Many visitors to the asylum have reported witnessing shadowy figures moving about the premises. These apparitions are often described as fleeting dark forms that appear and disappear without warning. Some believe these shadows to be residual energy, as we were saying.
Okay.
Of former patients or staff members who once roamed the halls.
Interesting that a staff member could be there still. Maybe they're so bothered by what went on there, the practices that they were involved in, and kept them there. What do we got here for the do we have anything about these shadows? Did you find any personal accounts for the shadows?
Not shadows per se, but we do have a just an interesting picture. This is from a TripAdvisor.
Okay.
So someone had submitted this. Let me share the screen real quick. So we got this picture right here.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but if we go to the next picture, they took two pictures in a row.
It's not there in the second picture.
It's not there.
Right.
There.
Do you notice any other differences about the picture? Besides that, is the lighting all the same? It looks the same to me.
I mean, maybe the lighting right here looks a little discolored as compared to the first one.
They also shifted ever so slightly with the second picture. Yeah. Ever so slightly. I mean, in your experiences on your investigations, have you found anything like this? Is this what you would consider an orb? Or orbs smaller and more round?
Orbs are usually smaller. I mean, we have this right here, too. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Kind of, too.
That can lead to the skepticism about, lens flare or a glare of some sort.
You just don't know. I mean, we weren't there. I mean, we don't know what they were feeling as well too. That has a
Right.
lot to do with
Right.
if they felt something alongside this. So I mean, I don't know. What's your take on that?
That one I'm skeptical about because it's, I mean, we don't have really a story behind it. We don't have much to go off of other than just that picture. And I noticed along the bottom of that picture, there was a little bit, the lighting was a little bit different as well. So I'm skeptical about that one. I mean, I'm not doubting that there's not, I'm not saying that there's no activity there. But that picture isn't like concrete evidence in my eyes.
No, but it's something to discuss.
Yeah.
We got some messages here. I know someone in their 90s with a lobotomy.
Whoa.
The person was a hyper kid, and the kid's dad was a doctor. Didn't want to deal with it when they had it, and at that point, it was leaning towards unethical. I can't speak today, but wasn't yet deemed unethical.
A child? Oh man, that's messed up. Like, as a father myself, I cannot support taking a child to get their brain lobotomized. Like, if you don't want to deal with your kid, that's a you problem, buddy. You shouldn't torture your child for that. I feel really terrible for that child. That's just absolutely terrible.
We got Dan Monroe. Wow, your voices are way better with those mics. Stay in front of the mic. Yeah, that was my bad. I was leaning in.
You can move the mic with you.
Yeah, I couldn't really see it. I had to lean in real quick. Yeah, the voices sound way better. That was just a technical glitch on my part. I'm just trying to see if we can get some more people in here commenting on this.
Yeah, I don't know how it took so long. I mean, I don't know the time frame, but I don't know how it took so long for lobotomies to be deemed unethical. Like, wouldn't the inception of that idea instantly raise questions? Like this, you would think like this does not seem ethical to me. You know what? Let's try it anyway. Not me, buddy. I don't know. That's just terrible. A child. And so who said that I knew someone in the 90s? I can't really read the chat.
Caitlin Noel. Caitlin Noel said she
knew someone in their 90s.
Okay, so in their 90s.
So you knew someone in their 90s that while they were a child they had a lobotomy. Did they seem like they were acting any type of way different? Like did they have demonstrate any like signs of dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that? Like, I mean, lobotomy, they're removing part of your brain, correct?
Yeah.
Like, pretty sure you need your whole brain.
Medicine has come a long way. Yes, it has.
Absolutely.
A little more into this, the cold spots and unexplained drafts that people are talking about there. Witnesses frequently mention encountering sudden drops in temperature, even in areas with no logical explanation for such changes, like ventilations. That's a lot. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we did.
Cold spots are commonly associated with paranormal activity.
Right.
And visitors describe feeling an eerie chill in specific rooms or corridors there. Some claim to have experienced unexplained drafts and breezes in otherwise sealed off locations. Now that's interesting.
That's weird to me. Like, not denying their experience or anything.
In a sealed location.
Yeah, sealed off, that there's no airflow, there's no ventilation in the area, and you're feeling a draft. Like, I mean, if you break it down to try to explain scientifically, I'm pretty sure I can remember that air will travel from areas of like heat. Hot air will move to where there's cold air, where it's colder, because heat travels to where it's cold. So like maybe that could be explained by a temperature difference, but enough to create a feeling of a breeze or a draft
with
nothing there. I don't know. That's weird. I've never experienced that myself, though. I mean, I know you said you have in your investigations where you've experienced cold spots and, you know, those breezes and stuff, the unexplained drafts. So I can't attest to knowing what that feels like. Oh.
It's hard to debunk that.
Yeah, really is.
Talk about the interactive spirits there. Some paranormal enthusiasts share stories of interactive experiences with the ghost at the asylum. Visitors claim to have witnessed doors opening and closing on their own.
You've seen something like that before,
I
haven't
have.
you?
I have it on. It's on my YouTube.
You have it on your
It's on,
YouTube?
I think it's like my first video I posted on there.
Oh, wow.
We were at an old amusement park that's now changed ownership, but we were in the western town, and this is my first time even ghost hunting. That we went there, and the door shut on its own when we first walked in. I asked it to do it again, and it did, on cue. I mean, it was outside, but then you try to debunk that. Maybe it's the wind. Maybe it's. So we left the camera rolling for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We left, came back. The door was still open. I walk up to the door. I go inside. I say, "Can you shut the door?" The door shuts.
That's weird, man. You look skeptical looking at this. Do you think that maybe somebody who was aware that wait, let me take a step back. Was that place, that amusement park, that's what it was, like a Western themed amusement park, was that place known to have any paranormal activity, and that's why you were there investigating?
There was, in that specific part in the western town. It was the whole park was in western theme. It was just that there was like a western town.
Okay. Do you think that maybe they could have programmed the doors to move?
No, I checked everything, and this was during the winter, so there was no power.
Oh, there's no power.
There was no power. This was in the winter when it was in the off season.
Okay. All right. So there's really no explanation to that other than what you're assuming is some sort of entity interacting with the door to interact with you.
Yes, because I even went outside too to try to look for anything.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there outside, and and I have it on camera doing the same thing from the outside.
And it wasn't windy or anything.
It was not enough to move that door from like all the way closed this way. And then like at one point I said, "I don't really believe you're doing it." Then the door slammed.
Ooh, you questioned his authority. It's authority.
The person did not really have any emotion, just existed. It was sad.
That's just tragic. I can't imagine. I would never put my kid through that. And even what lobotomies were performed years ago. Even back then, if I was, I couldn't put my kid through that. Imagine if that lobotomy did cause his lack of emotion. He's 90 years old. He lived, let's just estimate, I mean, he's a kid, at least 70 years with a lack of emotion, lack of an ability to express his emotion or feel anything. That's just sad. That's terrible.
It's not something I would
and
wish on anyone.
I say victims when it comes to lobotomy. Excuse me. I say victims. The people who suffered those lobotomies, even the electroshock therapy, like that's terrible in itself too.
Yeah.
What is that going to do? Like, wow.
Well, they didn't know. They were trying to. I mean, they were experimenting on human lives.
Yeah, that's experimentation. They're trying to figure out how to help these people in the most gruesome, brutal ways possible. Like, I don't know. Wasn't there something way back in the day where they used to try to like bleed you out to get rid of a disease or something like that?
Yes, I do remember that.
I don't know
specific. I don't know what it's called, but I do.
I don't know specific, but that was like a treatment method that they tried to get rid of a sickness by bleeding you out. It's like a lot of people died from that, and they're like, yeah, well, if you don't die from this, maybe you'll not be sick anymore.
And speaking of the experimentation stuff, I think we have a topic coming up. I don't know how long, but about experimentation in World War II.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be exciting.
There's a lot to discuss there.
What do we got in the chat here?
Bloodletting, it's called.
Bloodletting. Okay.
I don't remember why they did it though.
I'm pretty sure it was to try to help rid a disease or an illness of some sort. I don't think it was any mental illness relation there. I do know that they did do some sort of bloodletting though. I'm thank you for the term.
It sounds like I'm typing on a with us in typewriter.
You are. We actually, a fun fact, guys, you may see a keyboard on our stream, but it's actually a typewriter. And he's about having to set the reset where it goes ka-ching.
All right, what do you got here? Well, also, it's important to approach these stories with a healthy dose of skepticism. Not to say we don't believe them, but I think you need to, if you really want to know what, like, for yourself, you need to be there.
Yeah.
Because you can post the most genuine evidence ever, and someone's going to say that's fake.
Well, yeah. I mean, even with my own personal experiences that I've had that I've had paranormal experiences that are not of the ghost hunting realm or the interaction with spirits, like a door slamming or closed or anything like that. I've never had experiences like that, but with my own personal experiences, at first I was not too keen on sharing those experiences on because of the fear of people being like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what is he talking about? But these experiences I had, I absolutely 100% know what they are. And nobody will ever be able to convince me otherwise. Nobody will ever say, well, what if it was just, nope, sorry. Nope, I know what it is. I know for a fact.
And it's not that you're stuck in your ways. It's just that you witness that with your own eyes.
Yep. And so, like, I understand where a lot of people are coming from. And I encourage skepticism just in the manner of questioning things, because we're searching for the true answer. And I don't encourage arguments or arguing with each other about these things, but just share your thoughts. And hopefully the more people that share their thoughts will get lots of different perspectives. And through that, maybe we can come to an understanding of what these things really are. I think that skepticism is healthy, but you can go too far with it where you just deny everything. And in my experiences, and hopefully with experiences that you guys all share with us and that we will all be discussing in the coming weeks, like, I hope nobody is looking at these and they just have their heart set on pure skepticism and denies everything, because we are here as a community who embrace the existence of the paranormal. We don't know what it is. That's what we're searching for. I'm not saying that these paranormal things don't happen. And I'm not saying either that there aren't people out there who are disingenuous and they make things up. Like, absolutely, there's people who make things up just for trying to go viral or get recognition. But skepticism, healthy dose of skepticism is what I would like to say. Just a healthy dose.
That's the thing, too. I mean, some people have said, like, oh, why don't you fake stuff and go on YouTube? And, like, that's why we have almost 300 subscribers, but I've had my YouTube channel for, since, like, 2012.
Yeah.
So,
12 years.
So, I mean, you just don't need to. Like, I post genuine things.
Right.
Because once you start posting stuff like that, I mean, you're ruining the credibility of, like, the whole paranormal community.
Everything. Yes. Anybody who fakes things just ruins the credibility of the paranormal community. They're not doing any favors for all of us that are out here trying to actually seek the truth. I don't agree with that. I mean, and also dishonesty, when you're dishonest, this is more of a virtue, a moral thing to moral stance on it. But, like, dishonesty, you got to keep track of so many dishonest things that you've done and said that eventually you're going to get caught up in your dishonesty and you're going to get exposed. And then there goes your credibility. So it's best to just keep it honest.
Good evening from Johnny Vortex.
Johnny Vortex.
Good evening, Johnny Vortex.
Yes, good evening, Johnny Vortex. We're happy to have you here. All right, what do we got up here next? I think we're going to be moving on to discussing the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. It's known for its haunting atmosphere and has been subject of numerous paranormal investigations. Here are a few of the stories we found based on personal accounts, once again, anecdotal experiences of these paranormal encounters at the Eastern State Penitentiary. So there's been reports of shadow figures and apparitions similar to the Allegheny one. Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the corridors and cells of the penitentiary. Some described witnessing full-bodied apparitions, often resembling former inmates and guards. What's your take on that one? Have you ever seen any shadowy figures?
I have, yes. At the Stanley Theater. It was on stage, too.
Whoa, that's creepy.
I caught that. It was like a very glimpse of it, but you can make out that there was something walking in front of the camera on the stage.
You caught it on camera.
Yeah, so even in
Oh.
total darkness, I mean, this was on infrared, but even in total darkness, you could still make out these things. I mean, they are darker than
Yes.
dark.
Oh, I have that. Whenever anybody explains seeing a shadowy figure, or they use a description of it's darker than the darkest shade of black you can imagine, it just sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Because of the things that I've seen. I'm not going to deny anybody ever seeing them, but I hear frequently, even in areas, in my studies where I look around the myriad of realms in the paranormal, when I'm looking up people having experiences with cryptids, people having experiences with alien encounters, UFOs, abductions, lots of shadow figures come up in there. I mean, there's even been repetitive, very frequent stories of something called the Hat Man. Have you ever heard of the
I
Hat
have
Man?
heard of the Hat Man.
Have you seen the Hat Man?
I have not seen the Hat Man. Is that like sleep paralysis related?
Some stories I've stumbled across have been sleep paralysis related, but the majority are not. The majority are like, there's this one guy telling a story about how when he was a kid living in this haunted house, this one is related to the ghost haunted area of the paranormal. He was living in this house that he swears is haunted, and he was walking up his staircase, and at the top of the staircase, it wrapped around where, like, you go up the stairs, and then there was a railing at the top of the staircase, so you have to hit the top of the staircase and then turn around to go down along the railing, and there's rooms down the hallway, kind of. So he said he was walking up the stairs, and he saw it was tall. He said it was very tall, shadowy figure, like the Hat Man. That's what he called it, because it was wearing a hat, shadowy figure. He couldn't make out any like details of the figure other than its boots. It had boots, like cowboy boots. You know, can you imagine like in like a classic Western film, and you hear the cowboy boots stepping, and you hear like the little
the spurs.
The spurs. Yeah. He said that's what he heard when a separate encounter. He heard the boots. So he saw the boots the first encounter. He was going up the stairs. He saw the Hat Man, and he was hesitant to go up the stairs, and it just disappeared right before his eyes. And then second encounter, he didn't see anything, but he heard the spurs on the stairs, like walking up the stairs, like slowly. That's got to be terrifying, man.
Have you ever heard footsteps unexplained before?
No, never.
I have.
Never.
This was at my house.
That's got to be even freakier, because footsteps is like that extra step into reality where you're like, whoa, this thing is making an audible physical impact in my surroundings.
I don't know if I told you this story before. I was in the bathroom. I was getting ready to go in the shower, and my brother had moved. My sister was not in the house. I was home alone. Just got back from school, and so like, here's the position of the bathroom. Here's my brother's room, and here's my sister's room. So I'm sitting in the bathroom. I hear footsteps coming out of my brother's room. And you can tell when someone's walking on the carpet or like in the floor, because it'll creak and you hear the footsteps. So I was yelling for him. I'm yelling out for my brother, but I'm like, wait a minute, he doesn't live here anymore. So, and then I hear the footsteps going towards the bathroom and then walking towards my sister's room. So I peek out, and my sister's door is opening. I ran downstairs. like I said, I was about to hop in the shower. I ran downstairs, and I'm standing in the middle of my living room, like, hello.
Oh, so you were in your birthday suit?
Yes, I was in my birthday suit.
Yeah, the genuine fear would make you do that.
Yeah.
And you saw the door moving on its own. You heard the footsteps. You didn't see a figure, though, right?
I didn't see anything.
It was just seeing the interaction with the door. And then
But I have seen stuff in that house, but at that time I did not.
Right.
Well, we got a few comments here. Good evening, Nixter and Branster.
Nixter and Branster.
From Tanya Marie.
Hey. Hi, Tanya.
Caitlin Noel says, I have, I'm assuming about the footsteps.
Maybe the shadow figures. If you're referring to shadow figures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I encourage you to share that in the chat.
Johnny Vortex says the Hat Man is related to sucking down a hallucinogenic amount of cough syrup.
I've never heard that one. The Hat Man is related to sucking down a hallucinogenic amount of cough syrup. It could just be tripping, you know. But I mean, I've heard accounts of this Hat Man without, you know,
without any
drug relation, no hallucinogenics, nothing like that.
Jennifer says Lily said hi. Hi, Lily.
Yeah, hi, Lily. Lily says hi, Nick. Oh, not Brandon. I apologize. Just you. Only you get said hi to.
Yo, say hi.
Hi.
What do we got? Caitlin, can you elaborate on the on what you saw? And as we do that, when we continue on here.
All right. Now this is for the Eastern State Penitentiary. Still, cell block 12. It's a notorious cell block for paranormal activity. Visitors have reported hearing disembodied voices, whispers, and unexplained footsteps in this area. Some claim to have captured EVP, electronic voice phenomena, recordings during investigations. Unfortunately, we were not able to track down any of these EVP recordings. We would have loved to discuss these and pick them apart a little bit, talk about anything similar that we might have experienced, or if we feel it in our opinion is legitimate or not.
And there's so many videos out there, but there's no. It's like a walking tour of the place.
Yeah,
it's hard to find a lot of evidence there with so many claims.
Yeah, to find specifics.
We just hear accounts of it.
It's hard to find specifics, but we just hear we've found that broad claims of things happening there. There's also the hospital wing of the Eastern State Penitentiary, which is said to be a hot spot for paranormal activity. Visitors have reported feeling a sense of unease, sudden temperature drops, once again, cold spots and the such, and hearing mysterious noises in this section of the prison. I really, really wish we could find more specifics about these mysterious noises, because I would like to know what are the chances that mysterious noises are just old construction creaking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or are they is it like an entity's way of interacting with, trying to communicate with us?
I say, is it an intelligent noise? Like, meaning
intentional?
Yeah. Like, are you calling something out and it's responding to you, or is
Right.
it just noises?
Right. The footsteps though, that one's creepy. That one's just
footsteps are
creepy.
scary.
That's creepy because it's like, oh my God, I can't tell which direction they're going. Are they coming towards me? How heavy they are? What's making them?
Let's see. I was a kid and I'd see it in the hallways when it was dark, or in my room, standing in the corner. Caitlin Noel says.
Ooh.
I also thought it was a jacket hanging on the door or something, but there was no jacket there. Tanya says, where Nick was with me for the footsteps. Yeah, I've heard footsteps at Tanya.
With Tanya?
Yeah,
you were
before.
doing like an investigation over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that the dark shadow figures. What I have also noticed in the accounts of these dark shadow figures is that when people realize they're there and then make an attempt to fully like look at it and see what is this thing out of their curiosity, it's gone. So like it's usually peripheral vision. And I'm not saying that it's not happening, it's not there. But whatever it is aware that you're only catching a glimpse of it, I believe, and that it's intentionally, nope, you're not going to see the full me. Ha ha ha.
That, and like
that's what I think.
Everyone says like, oh, everyone has a smartphone. Why don't you capture a Bigfoot? Why don't you capture UFO? Why aren't you capturing these ghosts? I just think it's just like you said, like it's also, you're in the moment too.
Yeah.
You're experiencing that. I'm not saying that all that stuff is true. Well,
I think that in the moment, your first instinct isn't to pull out your phone and record. Your first instinct is
holy crap.
Is paralyzation.
Yeah.
You're paralyzed. You're not literally, but figuratively, you're paralyzed. Like, what am I seeing? The thought in your mind is this real? You're not like, oh, let me pull out my phone so I could prove to people I'm not lying. No, And I think these entities, the myriad of them, are keen on that. I mean, in the Bigfoot world, there's people who try their hardest to get Bigfoot evidence, and they just can't because the technology just so happens to malfunction at the perfect time, right as they're about to capture something. And these people are actively preparing themselves and training themselves to not be paralyzed when they see something so that they can catch it, and they still can't. And I don't think these people are making it up.
You could say like, oh, that's such a coincidence that the camera malfunction or this, but it happens. I've caught a ton of evidence, and I went to insert my SD card on my computer. The entire SD card was corrupted. No, I take that back. The SD card that had just those files were corrupted. Everything else on there was still there, except those files.
That's even better. That's so creepy.
That we heard the voices, and we're like, oh my god, this is so good. This is so good. Went back, I was looking through all the videos, and then I tried to click on this next one because I went through them all. And I'm like, file corrupted.
You know, what if whatever you were hearing followed you and like was over your shoulder as you're looking at these files, and then it's just like, can't watch those anymore, you know. Like, I don't know. It's just a funny thought. Also scary.
What do we got here? I'd say it was anywhere from age 6 to 10.
Maybe. Okay.
In our haunted house, Colebrook. Can't remember, maybe.
I know I've had paranormal experiences when I was that young. I just don't really remember them to detail as some of the paranormal experiences I've had in my, later years. A lot of my detailed paranormal experiences started around, I want to say 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there is when they started. And then it was like rapid fire.
The what experiences?
My paranormal experiences. I don't want to get too deep into it because it'll derail it'll derail our conversation. I'm really excited to share these experiences with all you guys, but funny thing, last week I was asked about why I'm intrigued into the paranormal even though I'm a Christian. The funny thing is that I am a Christian because of my paranormal experiences. So it's like the other way around. I was a skeptic atheist about everything. Like, none of this is real and all these people are just making stuff up. And then I had experiences of my own and was terrified to the core of my soul. And I became a Christian because of these things. But I'm super excited to share these experiences. It's just, it would really derail the conversation completely differently from these asylums and prisons we're talking about today. So we have Cell 68 also at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia.
So,
what are we at? What happened?
Johnny Vortex said, "Oh, you can't post that photo. I look fat in that one."
Exactly. I like the humor. I appreciate the humor. I'm joking around all the time off stream, so helping me let it out. I appreciate that. Cell 68 is often associated with reports of strange occurrences. Visitors have claimed to feel a heavy, oppressive energy within this cell and have experienced feelings of sadness or despair, unexplainable feelings of sadness and despair. Like, they were totally fine before they went there, and they just, after being in that cell, they're like, why am I feeling this heaviness?
Yeah.
I can attest to that. I mean, I've gone on it wasn't like an official paranormal investigation. It was more being a young, dumb, and in love teenager, infatuated with the current girl had caught my eye, doing stupid things because she's like, oh, let's go explore this abandoned factory. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, because I like you. And, deep down in my core, my gut feeling, I'm like, this isn't a good idea. But I went anyway. And as soon as we went into this, I don't know how long the factory was abandoned, but as soon as we went in there, like, as soon as I crossed the threshold, like, just took that step, just boop, into the factory, I just felt this heaviness, this, as they've described in this penitentiary, this oppressive energy. And I couldn't explain it. I did say, hey, I don't think we should be here. Something in my gut's telling me we should not be here. And she's just like, oh, yeah, that's because it's closed down. I'm like, it's trespassing. I'm like, yeah, technically, but that's not why we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe some experiences I had after that, closely related to maybe something followed me. I don't know. You can just attest to that heavy feeling of oppressive energy. It's just the best way to describe just energy.
Even going to that location opened you up to something?
I think I've been opened up to these things before I went against my better judgment in any of these instances. I think from a young age, all people are open to things, and it's how you react to them if they keep happening or not. That's my theory. And like I said, when I was younger, I feel like I've had paranormal experiences. I just can't remember the details. Like, I feel like maybe they were so like shocking that I buried them in my subconscious. And I'm too scared to do any hypnotherapy type of thing to try to bring them out, because what if they're things I don't want to face?
You ever seen The Fourth Kind?
Oh my goodness, that is.
We'll talk about that movie when we go on our alien topics.
Yeah, that movie. Just mentioning it gives me chills. The funny thing, the first time I saw that movie, I watched it with my girlfriend at the time, and I lived probably a 4-minute drive down the road from her house, and I got in my car and sped like 100 the whole way home because I was terrified that I was going to get abducted through my car. I was like, oh no. Oh no. I just kept looking up, like leaning over the dash and like looking up, and it's going to get me because that movie was nuts. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep that night. But I've had an experience of I wouldn't say abduction. That's also why I don't know. Like, I don't want to do this hypnotherapy thing because I don't. What if I was abducted? I'm happier not knowing.
Same.
Right? Like, I don't need to know that happened to me, but I feel like there's something there buried. Something. I don't know what it is. And for some reason, I'm leaning towards alien encounter of some sort.
That'd be a sweet stream, though.
To hypnotherapy, dive into live. No, man, I don't know.
I would do it.
You could do it, and I'll sit here and comment and laugh at you. Not really. That's kind of mean. I wouldn't laugh at you.
Let's take a look at some of these comments real quick. This is Johnny Vortex, by the way. I grew up in Pine City, Minnesota, which is where
Pokegama
Asylum is.
Pokegama Asylum.
We used to mess around in there as kids. That feeling is from it being limited
in a liminal space.
I can't speak today.
I shouldn't be here feeling. Okay.
Did anything happen while you were there? Be curious to know.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that feeling was because, it is technically trespassing, but that wasn't what crossed my mind. I wasn't like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble with the cops. I was like, I feel an evil, dark presence here.
Something's watching.
Something heavy. As we walked through, we spent like 15 minutes in there. And then it was also right as the sun went down. Like, it was dusk. The sun was setting as we were walking up to the place. And we get into the place, and the sun's fully set as we're in there. So, like, we kind of, we don't really have, this was, let's see, I think I was 15 or 16. So I don't even know if I had a cell phone at the time. She had a cell phone. Maybe the little flashlight on an old, like, 2009, 2010, like,
BlackBerry.
No, like an Envy, like the ones that used to flip open or slide open, whatever, those with the keyboards on it. I think it was one of those. That's the only light source we had, and we're going through the whole place, and I felt like we were being watched. It was just an eerie feeling, very eerie feeling. What else do we got here about this Eastern State Penitentiary? Is this
talk about the
Al Capone's cell? This is what I found really interesting about this place in particular. Was Al Capone, notorious gangster, seemingly fearless, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just, for lack of better words, he's just a badass. Nothing bothers him. But we got some information from GhostCityTours.com that he spent 8 months, Al Capone spent 8 months locked up in Eastern State Penitentiary. And apparently he claims that the spirits of the prison were powerful enough to terrify even him. one of the most vicious mob bosses. Although Capone's criminal network made sure his accommodations at the Eastern State Penitentiary were luxurious, that didn't save him from these experiences. I mean, his cell could have been mistaken for a cozy living room complete with oil paintings and fine furniture. Although he was living like a king, an unforeseen force terrified him at night.
We have a picture of that we'll show at the end.
Yeah, so the crime boss reportedly, would let out blood-curdling screams in the darkness, begging for someone named Jimmy to leave him alone. Many people who've heard this believe that Jimmy may have been the spirit of Jimmy Clark, one of the men killed by Capone's execution orders in the St. Valentine's Massacre. And even after Capone was released from Eastern State Penitentiary, the entity continued to torment him. Out of desperation, Capone even hired a medium, but that didn't seem to work. Eventually, he lost his mind and ended up in a mental institution the final years of his life. So I think it's interesting that he experienced that there, and it followed him. Do you think it
cursed?
Maybe, right? Maybe it followed him there in the first place. Like, it wasn't there until he got there. And it's just like, I'm going to torment you your whole life. Oh, hey, buddy, you're locked up in here? Oh, so much easier now. I'm going to really show you what's up. And even since after that, some visitors have reported sensing a lingering energy in Capone's cell and have felt cold spots or unusual atmospheric changes. So I thought that was very interesting that we had such a, what's a good word to describe him? Infamous. Yeah, such an infamous individual that was so hardened. Like, he could stare down, I mean, I would never met the guy, but he could stare down the barrel of a gun and tell the guy to pull the trigger. He has no fear. But this terrified him to the point where he went insane. Well,
let's see,
claimed
where this
to
guy,
have gone insane. But he was admitted into an asylum after that.
Here's yeah, my man was living in luxury.
Yeah.
Like, that's not.
I mean, that's not his, like, that's not what it was like exactly, right? Like, they just set it up to be what it used to be like. Cause
it's about what it was like. I mean, maybe the walls were a little less decrepit.
Right. Well, I'm just saying because some guy called out that museum for the radio being wrong or something. I mean, I don't really care about radio being wrong. It's just to show that general feeling that he was living in luxury in a prison. I mean, it's probably not far from what today's, wealthy criminals were. I mean, I don't know if I should bring this guy up. Maybe in a future conspiracy thing, but I'm sure you've heard of, so-and-so didn't kill himself, right? I don't know if his name is a trigger word for anything yet. So, I mean, lots of,
and we're banned.
lots of, the people that I tune into on YouTube and other podcasts I listen to mention him, but apparently he was living in luxury while he was in there too. So it's not uncommon for people who commit horrendous crimes to live in luxury while they're serving out their sentence.
Just want to look at this comment real quick. It was a couple of the syndicated shows went to the Pokegama. I'm murdering that. I know I am. It's creepy and infested with animals. There are lots of sounds of movement all the time. Okay. Now that is interesting. You say it's infested with animals now. So I mean that could attribute to some of the noises, I would assume.
Oh yeah. I mean, just because you hear something and you can't see it doesn't mean it's instantly a spirit. That's my skepticism on that, right? But I'm not saying that it can't be. It can't be something, an entity that is not a physical flesh and blood being in this plane of existence, like an animal or a person.
And that's what I used to be like. I mean, I say that now, but like when you encounter something, you don't know how you're going to react because like that ghost or whatever was closing the door. I wasn't afraid of it because I think it's because maybe I didn't see it. If I would have saw the actual form, that might have made it seem a little bit too real. But I mean, at that one point where I saw that giant manifestation at the last few houses ago that I went to,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was so scared. Like, I put the camera down, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you're in the moment, and
Right. That leads to somebody being like, "Oh, he faked it. He
Mhm.
took the camera down right at the perfect time." Well, actually, he was so terrified that, or genuinely shocked, I should say. Maybe not terrified, because I mean, you stood there confronting it, right?
I mean, you're there to see it, but
You don't really expect to see anything as real as you do.
yeah,
You're like, let's go see what we can see, what we can find, what we can discover, what we can learn. Oh wow, I did not expect that.
I need to strap a GoPro to my head next time.
Strap it to your head. And maybe have a backup one on your chest.
Yeah,
And then another backup one on each of your knees. And another backup one on each of your shoulders.
each my shoulders.
Yeah, no matter which. Oh, and put one on your back too, in case you start running, it gets behind you, you know?
That's true.
That's a really good idea.
What about this guard tower?
What, at the Eastern State Penitentiary?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We got, let's see, the guard towers of the penitentiary have been the site of reported paranormal encounters, and witnesses have described seeing shadow figures, there's a shadow figures again, and experiencing an eerie feeling of being watched while in the vicinity of the guard towers. I think the being watched thing can be attributed to, that's the function of the guard towers, when they're actively being used in real time during the time of the penitentiary being in operation, that there's guards in the guard towers keeping an eye on things.
Yeah.
So maybe, but maybe they were being watched by something, hanging out back up there. But it's very interesting that the guard towers are also hot spots, because nothing really crazy happens in the guard towers. I mean, you would assume maybe a riot or a prison break. They assault the guys in guard towers, but you got to get up there first. But who knows? I just think that even though these are anecdotal experiences, and I'm not trying to claim that it didn't happen, that it's still a healthy dose of skepticism being applied is a good idea. So, like I was just saying, these stories are based on personal accounts from visitors, staff, and paranormal investigators who have explored the Eastern State Penitentiary. And it's also to be it's also important to note, I should say, that the prison's dark history and opposing architecture contribute to its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the United States.
Oh, just subscribe on YouTube. Emerald Cat, thank you. Just joining. What is the topic? Right now we're just finishing up Eastern State Penitentiary. But before that, we were talking about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia. And now we are going to be talking about the Waverly Hills Sanatorium and Louisville,
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
Yep.
Like I said, I can't talk today. Kentucky. And that's known for its haunted reputation and as a source of numerous paranormal claims. And here are a couple of stories based on personal accounts.
Yeah, you got one that we're going to be showing on the stream here. Wait, do we have somebody in the comments? Pokegama. Pokegama is the pronunciation.
Are you casting a spell?
Oh, please, no. I'm not trying to cast a spell. I don't want to. No.
What is this? I'm going to try to click on this photo real quick and it's gone. Cool.
Oh, they took it down?
Already? We just looked it up.
We just looked this up earlier.
No, it can't be. Wait a minute. Do I have it open over here? I do.
There we go.
I'm just,
We were prepared for this. Okay.
Let's check this out. And we can't see it on there.
Well, you can see the important part.
There we go.
Right there. That.
What do we have here?
Yeah, that is less likely to be a lens flare, in my opinion,
than the
other pictures that we looked at. That one looks more legitimate. That one has more of an eerie appearance to it. That it doesn't look like there's any source of a flare or reflection in any other part of the picture. It's just right there in the middle.
It's standing in the middle of the light, too. So it's
Is
creating.
Is it casting a shadow? Or are my eyes just playing a trick on me? It does not look like it's casting a shadow.
But it's,
Like
it's,
move the cursor down just a little bit. No, move it up a little. Right there. A little bit lower. I thought that would have been a shadow, like right around there.
I mean, you can see through it.
Yeah, that's another thing. You can see through it.
That's as far as we can zoom in, but that's interesting. There's some other pictures on the end.
Yeah, that I liked this one because all the way right there. I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's something creepy to me. Like it doesn't just look
You
like.
think so?
Yeah, man. Like I don't know. I've seen too many cryptid pictures to not think that's some sort of creepy cryptid looking thing, like the rake we talked about last week. Not saying that's a
Yeah.
rake, but that's creepy. That looks creepy.
Notice the bat.
In this body shoot, it was totally dark when I took the photo and never heard him fly by either. What bat? I don't see a bat. Oh, that's the bat.
Are we talking about the bat? And he's like, doesn't notice. And maybe it's just a
I don't.
Matrix
to me,
scene, something
to
in
me,
there.
that looks like some like creepy little ghoul looking thing, like kind of hunched over, squatting down against the wall.
It could be. Did we just look at this?
No, we did not
No,
look
look
at
at
this
this.
one.
4K resolution.
Yes, only the best for all of you guys. It's getting even better.
That's as far as we're going. Yeah,
That's a ghost. That's a spooky
you
ghost.
heard it here.
Absolutely.
No, that's it. That's definitely interesting. I mean, it's something. Best experience of my life. I believe I captured half apparition of a young boy.
What I'm curious about is why she believes that's a young boy.
I like hearing people's opinions on things. Though maybe
Well, that's
They
why I'm
were-
asking the question.
maybe they were sensing, like maybe they were communicating on their equipment. There was that said it was a young boy or
Sure,
child.
sure.
Um,
That's all. That
but this is all
That's
we
all I'm
have. This is
asking.
all we have to go by.
Right.
Is
like just given this picture.
yeah.
If somebody said, "Hey, look at this! I forgot a picture of a half apparition of a young boy," I'd be like, "What? What makes you think this is a young boy? What other interaction did you have with this thing that made you think it's a young boy?" Could be somebody up there on the balcony in a window. or
Leaning
something.
over, it looked like the hands are like leaning over.
Looks kind of more like just a silhouette of shoulders and a head.
Head.
Yeah, head,
I-
shoulders.
No, but you could see how it.
knees and toes. Yep, knees and toes.
You can kind of see how the hand maybe is going over here too.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
like it's not the same. Like it's the same color or. I don't know.
it's crawling out of the
I'm
window.
not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
I don't know. What do we got here? This, I believe,
It's in the
is-
corner, and it doesn't match the glare.
no, I think this is. Oh wait, hold on.
The bottom
No.
corner.
You're not gonna be able to see in this one, but looks like something down here. I don't really think it is, but. And then this. Are we looking at right here?
That's Michael Jackson about to jump out the window when Annie wasn't okay.
Why yeah. Right
Whoa,
here.
there's a face. Dude, that's creepy.
This is the most real picture yet.
That's a face.
It's
That's
taken
clearly a face.
Back in 2013, I sent it to
Tina.
Tina, and she said it looked like that floor that Timmy. So Timmy. So maybe that's the young boy. Why is every young kid named Timmy? By the way, have you ever met an adult Timmy?
I have never met an adult Timmy. I met an adult Timothy. Maybe Timmy's the nickname.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. But that's clearly a face, dude.
That's something.
Come on. You don't see a face in that?
I see it.
Okay. I see the eye sockets, the nose, the mouth. I mean, it's I mean,
Kind of bad though.
what do you think the odds of that being a Photoshop picture are? Like, does it look like it was messed with? Can you bring it back up? Does that look like it's superimposed in there?
Maybe a little, but I mean, are you gonna take Christina Welch and drag her name through the mud like that?
No, I'm just
just
being
kidding.
skeptic. You know.
No, it's definitely. I noticed
I
that
think
too.
there was
How
some
it kind of
skepticism.
looks
When you
off.
zoom in, it looks
Yeah.
like it doesn't match the rest of the picture. Looks like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more clear resolution. If it's not photoshopped, that is super creepy.
Does anything else look kind of
It's definitely
distorted?
weird. It's just like, look.
I mean, there are spaces up here too, but that's just.
It's what makes it weird is that you look at the darkness in the window above her head, and it's blotchy, like certain parts
These are blotchy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she lit just
right
like
above her head.
Yeah.
Right above her head in the same window that she's standing in. It's blotchy. There's like parts where it's darker and parts where it's lighter, and then her face right there is just perfectly clear. That's the only thing that makes me skeptic, right there. Skeptical about that one.
I'll give her a call.
Do we got anybody
Huh?
reacting to those pictures in the chat there?
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Looks like a rake. See, Emerald Cat said that it looked like a rake. In that picture, I was pointing out the creepy thing down in the back.
Tuberculosis victim. Let's not. I used to live at Fort Knox. A group of us went there for a Halloween hunt in 2012. That place is real.
I've never heard of anything at Fort Knox, other than
Where all
like
the gold is.
haunted gold.
Stay tuned. You got it.
Yeah, tuberculosis victim. Like, that would explain why a child would be there. Because the what is this? The Waverly Hills one we're discussing right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Waverly Hills was a sanatorium or sanatorium. I guess there's two different pronunciations for it. Santa Claus used to take kids there. No. And that place was founded originally to help. It was supposed to be like a combination of like a hospital and a hotel. It was supposed to be like comfortable living.
Comfortable lobotomy.
There was no lobotomies there.
No.
They actually tried to turn it into a prison in like the late 1970s, I believe, or early 1970s. And the locals were like, no, we don't like this idea. Some officials wanted to turn it into a prison. But this place was not like maybe it was a mental sanatorium as well, but it was founded for tuberculosis victims.
This next topic, the ghostly nurse that was there. That reminds me of the Stanley Theater we went to. They had the guy who would run the projector booth. And
was he stuck in the projector booth room?
No, but I think places that people like that leave a big impact on people.
Right.
Maybe they go there after they pass. Maybe it's the same thing with this ghostly nurse. One of the most frequently reported sightings at Waverly Hills is that of a ghostly nurse. Witnesses claim to have encountered the apparition of a woman in a white uniform, often seen on the upper floors. Maybe it was that photo in the window, because
that
it
looked
kind
like
of had
that looked like a little girl, not a nurse.
No, in the window, like from the outside.
Oh, the one where you said the hands were coming over?
Maybe that one or the other one. But the other one was, I mean, those windows aren't short. I mean, if it was like halfway through the window, so that had to be at least semi-tall. And they had like a big head. Maybe it was the nurse head or something. I don't know. Some visitors describe feeling a sudden drop in temperature and an overwhelming sense of sadness when in her presence. It's speculated that she may be the spirit of a former nurse who served during the sanatorium's operation.
That's interesting. So you said the projector thing, though, at the Stanley Theater. So there's reports of a projector operator ghost?
That he still likes to frequent that area. And it said that if paranormal investigators taunt him, he will throw the old
reels
at you.
Huh.
I didn't want to get
Taunt
into
him?
that. I didn't want to taunt him because those things are heavy.
Imagine getting smacked in the head with one of those.
No, I can't.
I used to work at a movie theater, and it was I just assume off of my experience at one movie theater that it's just a thing. So this is just broad, wide, crazy speculation that every movie theater has haunted stories about the upper floor.
Yeah.
Like it's a stereotype that I've heard about before working there, and then I worked there, and after hours, When we're closing up, we have to go do rounds of the whole place and make sure everything's shut down and everything's closed and there's nobody lingering in any theaters. And one thing I did experience that was weird, but I just chalked it out to being one of my coworkers messing with me, was while I was cleaning out one of the theaters, you know, if you look up behind where the projector is, there was like, I saw a shadow of somebody up there, and there was nobody up there at the time, according to what was supposed to be happening. I mean, the supervisor or manager could have very well went up there and been like double checking something, and I didn't have any like creepy, eerie feeling, but I saw like a shadow cross over the projector as I'm in there cleaning up the theater, and then when I looked up, I saw like a dashing out of the way. I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." Oh well, let me keep sweeping. You know,
I'm just going to pretend I didn't see
I'm just
that.
gonna pretend I didn't see that. Yeah, and then I also had this weird experience where I was supposed to be cleaning out a theater. One of my coworkers was helping me out because there's like different jobs you'd have there. One of them is the usher. You know, you check the theaters at the end, make sure they're cleaned up decently. And one of my coworkers was supposed to be helping me out at the end of the night. It was a busy night, so I think there was 2 of us ushers on that night. It's like a Saturday night or something. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go do this theater, you do that theater, and we'll just keep going down the line." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm in there, and I'm like halfway down the steps in the theater, and I'm in literally the dead center of the theater, the middle row of the middle of the middle row. And I'm like picking up trash, and I just heard like, "Brandon." And I was like, "Yo, what?" And then I left the theater and I was like, "Did you say something to me while I was in there?" He's like, "No, I was just in here the whole time." I'm like, "Come on, man. You definitely said something to me. Like, you came in here, you messed with me." And he's like, "No. I know you're messing with me because I really don't want to believe somebody whispered in my ear and there was nobody around there." "Dude, what are you talking about?" And that's when he told me the stories of upstairs being haunted. And I was like, "Okay, well, I just want to go home tonight because I don't, I don't want to
I
experience
don't blame you.
any of this stuff." Yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean, it's funny how a lot of these experiences I just kind of just dismiss. Or they just keep moving, and then they'll come back to me like, "Wait a second, I did have something like that." Once you mentioned the theater, it came up.
Shadow figures in the body chute.
Body chute. Is that like where they dump like deceased people?
I think it's where they transported them,
Oh.
like underground.
Oh, okay.
Body chute it was a tunnel to use to transport deceased patients out of sight. Is notorious for paranormal activity.
Do you think that was a picture of what we saw where that rake was in there?
Yeah.
That's the body chute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that's what I would assume.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Witnesses reported seeing shadowy figures moving along the walls of the tunnel. Some have described feelings of an oppressive atmosphere and hearing unexplained noises adding to the eerie ambiance of the area. Definitely like a tunnel is its own vibe too.
Yeah.
So I feel like that.
The longer the tunnel, the eerier it is.
Yeah. Especially pitch black now that there's no power or anything running through there.
Yeah, that's got to be creepy. There was this tunnel that it was like I think it was like a bridge, and it wasn't too long. And I think above the tunnel was like railroad tracks, so it wasn't too long of a tunnel. It was pretty shallow, but I have walked this road. It was way downstate, where I used to live. I have walked this road in the dark before, during my young stupid days, where I was, messing with things I shouldn't, and I think tunnels just it had an eerie feeling, but it wasn't anything super strong. It was just like maybe like what Vortex said earlier, like, you got that feeling you shouldn't be there. That's the closest where I could say, okay, yeah, I got this feeling I shouldn't be there, but it wasn't like a heavy dark presence.
Yeah.
I was just walking through there. I'm like, this is kind of creepy. Let me scuttle along real quick over here. I just want to get out to the other end.
And tunnels have the same vibe as like a cave or like an old
Caves.
mining.
I really want to go check out like a cave system. Like,
until it gets to the point where you're like crawling through like this.
no, I don't want to do
fence
that.
up.
I don't really get claustrophobic. Like I could be in an elevator packed like can of sardines, and I'd be fine. But it's like there's fear there that stacks on top of being in that confined space. That's like, what if I can never get out? At least I know the door's gonna open in the elevator, and all these people are gonna pour out. I'll be fine in 60 seconds. Oh, unless we get stuck. That happens sometimes. But like in a confined, I've seen videos of some guy like cave exploring, and there's this tiny little hole that I'm surprised a human being fits in there. And this is a full grown adult man. He's probably like 160, 170 pounds, and maybe like 5'10", 6 foot. He fits in this hole. The hole's got to be like this big. He just fits in the hole, and he gets all the way in there, and he like looks up at the camera, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys? I made it in the hole." I'm like, what the heck?
See some of them where they're like underneath water going to the other side.
See, that's so cool.
I wouldn't.
That's cool.
I couldn't do that.
I don't know. That was cool.
Kentucky has great caves.
Yes, I've heard of the caves in Kentucky. There's this guy, I don't remember his name. I was gonna revisit this episode of a show I listened to. This guy that was featured on there. Maybe I could get in contact with him and have him speak for us on our show. We can interview him here. But he said he's been visiting this cave system. I believe it's in Kentucky. This cave system that stretches for miles ever since he was a kid in high school or something. And this guy's, I think, in his 50s or 60s now. And he's had a lot of paranormal encounters in these caves. Like seeing what he believes is Bigfoot.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Isn't like Bigfoot, like a lot of the sightings are like, oh, where are they living? If that would be the only, like one of the logical solutions would be that they're in the cave system, underground, traveling through there. Maybe they have their own route. I don't know.
There's also, I mean, the Bigfoot community is one of the most hostile communities towards its own members I've seen myself. Yeah. Like the people are so adamant about what they're believing is actually the truth. Like there's some people in that community that are like, oh, I just want to see him. He's just this giant ape thing. And then there's some people in that community like, no, he's not. He's totally like this humanoid.
Interdimensional.
There's the interdimensional thing. Like Bigfoot can like go through a portal or something, or he can like phase through reality and phase out of reality. He could cloak. He can, he has telekinesis. Like there's a lot of things, and that all these people disagree on all these different things. I'm excited to discuss that on a future episode.
Always wanted to go on a Bigfoot hunt.
A Bigfoot hunt? That's something I'd do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go. See, I don't want to go conjure any spirits and talk to any spirits because I have my beliefs of what they are. And, I'm open to hearing other people's opinions, but I have my beliefs of what they are, and I don't want to talk to them because God tells me not to. So, talking to Bigfoot is a completely different story.
What if we find out that he is an interdimensional being?
Then I'm going to ask him if he knows Jesus.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. I don't know. That would be crazy. What if we watched him like just step into a portal right before our eyes? That'd be wild.
And the camera would probably malfunction.
Probably. Conveniently.
Let's go back. Children playing on the third floor, not the second floor. They can only play on the third. There were claims of hearing the sounds of children laughing and playing on the third floor, which was once dedicated to pediatric patients.
Yep.
Maybe that's why that one person said, "Oh, I think this was half an apparition of a young child."
That makes there we go. There's the context I was looking for. Yep.
Visitors report disembodied voices and the pitter patter of ghostly footsteps. Some believe these could be residual echoes of children who suffered from tuberculosis in the sanatorium.
The pitter patter. You've heard footsteps before, right? What was the pacing and like the heaviness of these footsteps?
It was more adult. It was more spaced out.
Spaced out, like the time between the steps.
Yeah.
And they sounded heavier, like they had more weight behind them.
And you can too, like it was so creepy because like you can hear it literally sound like it's someone walking really slow. It was like this. You hear the creak from this footstep. You hear the creak from this footstep.
That is extra creepy. Have you ever heard like pitter patters, like kid footsteps?
I have not, but
what do you think would be more creepier? I mean, you would only know if you experience it, but what do you think?
Probably the little girl, because I think a lot of evil entities disguise themselves as something
as children
or
to let your guard down.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, poor child, let me communicate with you and see if we can help you or understand why you're here. And then it just morphs into this giant monstrous looking thing right in front of you when all you were hearing was little girl laughing, and all of a sudden this thing materializes in front of you and it's just like, I'm here to eat your soul. It's like, oh my goodness, it wasn't a little girl.
Apparitions in room 502. Apparently 502 is infamous for its paranormal activity.
Okay.
With reports of a former nurse taking her own life.
That's tragic.
So maybe that's the nurse that roams the halls.
That's true. That's true.
Witnesses claim to have seen apparitions in and around the room, with some experiencing sudden drops in temperature.
Mm-hmm.
That comes up a lot. And unexplained fluctuations in electronic devices. Yep, that would be my camera malfunctioning.
Yep.
Many visitors describe an overwhelming sense of despair and tragedy when entering this room. I wonder if they would feel that not knowing about the room.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Because that was something that, as we were researching these things, that was something that came to mind. And I'm surprised it slipped my mind. Like, I wonder if these people know before they go there what the stories are claimed to be, or if they go there and they feel these things and then they're like, wow, I felt these things, share that, and then they discover after the fact, oh, there's stories of this and this and this.
I have something to add to that. When I went to the Star Hill Cemetery, I like to go into places I don't like knowing things, because I want to see if I can experience it for myself first. So I went there and I was using the Ovilus device. It picks up uses the environmental readings and formulates a word out of like a 5,000 word database. So we first get there, the name Dan came through first. So I was like, okay, Dan, are we speaking to a Dan? And then later on, I see this, or my cameraman pointed it out. He pointed out something else unrelated, and I saw this orange glow. It wasn't high up; it was like waist high, in the tree line.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, and then I was like, "What are you pointing at?" He's like this. I'm like, "No, do you not see that thing over there?" So I saw it, and then it disappeared. So, and then later on, the name Dan came through again. So come to find out, there was a man named Dr. Daniel who would walk up and down the street of the cemetery carrying an orange lantern.
Yo.
And I didn't know any of this going into it.
See, that is amazing. That is amazing. There's no bias.
Yeah.
You're not going in there with a bias looking for something specifically or with your mind made up before you go there. You experience something, and then you go back and you get confirmation for what you experienced. That is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. And wait, your cameraman, did he notice after you pointed it out?
No.
Or it disappeared?
No. He pointed out something unrelated.
Did he catch it on camera?
No.
Oh, man.
As he's pointing at this other thing unrelated. I'm like, but for him to point that silly thing out,
it drew your attention.
It drew my attention to the real thing.
Right.
So he still is useful. I'm kidding. Okay. No, he's very helpful with the camera work.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's perfect anyway.
It's also important to approach, like we said, these stories with an understanding of the subjective nature of these paranormal experiences. While these accounts attribute to the eerie reputation of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, your own personal account may vary.
Yeah. I'm not going to be one to encourage anybody to go themselves and check these things out. But if you, on your own volition and of your own free will, decides to go do these things, I would love to hear about your experiences. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, maybe Nick would encourage you guys to go check things out because he's more adventurous with his investigatory adventures he goes on. But me, myself, I don't want anything following anybody, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So, with that being said, if you do have any experiences from these, if you've gone on any investigations or you have done your own research about any of these asylums or prisons that we're discussing today, then I definitely ask that you would please share those experiences with us.
Definitely.
So are we on the last topic?
We're
right
on
now?
the last topic.
All right. What do we got here? Alcatraz Island. Let's see. So Alcatraz Island houses the Alcatraz prison. Shocking, right? It has a history of being a notorious prison and been the subject of various paranormal claims. We've got a couple of the stories based on personal accounts. One being the haunting of cell 14D. Another prison with a cell that is haunted. Except this one is in a different prison. So cell 14D is infamous for its paranormal activity, and visitors often report feeling an intense oppressive energy when entering the cell. There again with the oppressive energy. I would say that an oppressive energy in the cell like this isn't like, oh, you're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So that energy is probably, in my opinion, due to sheerly what is present in that area causing that energy. I don't think it is coming from your gut feeling of, oh, you shouldn't be here in cases like this, because they're visitors. Like they're not, this place has like tours and stuff.
Yeah.
They're allowed to be there. So why would this feeling be there? That's my take. That's my opinion on that. And once again, in this cell, some claim to have experienced sudden drops in temperature and unexplained sensations of being watched. And witnesses describe hearing whispers and cries, attributing these sounds to the lingering spirits of former inmates who faced harsh conditions in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is pretty messed up in my opinion. But I don't think it's as messed up as lobotomies.
No. I think like the oppressive energy would be from someone, it's a prison, so they're defending their room. Like that was their space. What are you doing in my space?
Do you think people actually take pride in that?
I think it's all they have. That's their last, I wouldn't say freedom, but they're like that's their home. I mean,
what would cause, like, okay, if somebody's in prison and let's just say they pass, they die, right? And their spirit lingers. Say it doesn't go anywhere else. It's stuck here. What's tying them there? Usually people say they have unfinished business or something like that, right? Okay, if they have unfinished business, what unfinished business is keeping them tied to that place? Like, don't you think after they suffered in prison for so long, they just want to be like, oh man, I'm so glad I'm dead. If my spirit exists in a always will be and always has been sense, where it just always will exist, even if it's not in my body and I'm going somewhere, it's going to either exist on this plane in like a mirror realm to ours or something, where they can't fully touch us, but they can interact with things here somehow. If that's what's happening, then why didn't they just move on?
Well, maybe it's like
I don't.
We use prison as like an analogy. Like, I say when people get out of prison, they can't adapt to that outside life. Maybe that's all they know, and maybe they're stuck there because they don't want to. Maybe because the prison's all they know. This life is all they know. Why would they want to leave?
Maybe because even though it's all they knew, it was terrible, and something else could be better.
I know that's to argue for it, but that's also like prisoners and stuff, like they can't cope.
Yeah, no, I've heard of that. That's why the recidivism rate is so high. Like in actual hardened criminals, like that's what makes them, like the prison system makes them hardened criminals.
Shannon and Nebby.
Hello, Shannon and Nebby.
What's our next? Well, we're talking about ghostly figures in the hospital ward next.
This is all at Alcatraz for anybody that just tuned in.
The old hospital on Alcatraz is believed to be haunted, and visitors recount sightings of ghostly figures in hospital gowns. In the hospital ward?
Whoa. What would a ghostly figure in a hospital gown be doing in a hospital ward? Wouldn't they be at like a haunted zoo or something?
You'd think, but
broke out of the monkey enclosure or something. Lion enclosure, that's what it was. Lion enclosure.
Witnesses describe an apparition walking the corridors, sometimes disappearing through walls. The hospital, once a place where inmates receive medical treatment, is said to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. You got this next part?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Unexplained sounds in the cell blocks. This one is quite interesting. Numerous reports mention unexplained sounds echoing through empty cell blocks. Visitors describe hearing footsteps, the cell doors slamming shut, because this is no longer in operation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's interesting to me for this one specifically, because footsteps, cold spots, voices, and unexplained sounds have been heard in all of the other places we talked about today, but nothing mentioned any cell doors slamming shut. That one is interesting to me. And some claim to have captured mysterious EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, for those who don't know, during audio recordings, adding to the belief that the prison echoes with the residual energy of its turbulent past.
Interesting. I just want to get these. Shannon Nebby, I have seen the Shadow Man in my room 4 days ago. Can you elaborate on that experience?
Oh, please do.
And also, I was recently locked up and have a story. I'm cold says, yeah, we'd love to hear that story.
Yeah. Share them. We can discuss those.
And the ghost of Al Capone. He's just everywhere, isn't he?
Yes. Yes.
Al Capone, one of the most famous, infamous inmates at Alcatraz, is said to have left an enduring presence. Visitors and staff members report sightings of Capone's ghost in various areas of the prison. Some describe a well-dressed figure resembling the notorious gangster, while others claim to have felt his presence in the prison's library where Capone spent his time during incarceration.
Maybe he was looking up who that Jimmy guy was.
Maybe.
He was reading it in the books, like, Jimmy, how do I get rid of Jimmy? Jimmy's been following me everywhere.
Jimmy. We have a clip here we're going to show, and it's pulling up down here for some reason.
Bloop, bloop.
It's my monitor turning back on again.
To me.
Check this out.
Grand Alcatraz, of course, has a very storied past from prison to tourist destination. Now, over the years, there have been plenty of spooky stories on the rock. Well, now a tourist couple claims to have captured a snapshot of a ghost. That couple from England checked out, as every traveler's must see, the rock. And during the Alcatraz audio tour, Sheila Walsh says that she casually stopped to take a snapshot of the empty visitation block window on her iPhone. Empty to the naked eye, that is.
That is much more clear to me now in the second watch.
Yeah.
What is that? Clearly looks like a woman.
If I didn't say like that was someone's reflection, that's a person.
Yeah.
That is a person right there.
But if it's a reflection, that doesn't look like the reflection of somebody taking a picture of the empty cell.
No, here's the cell.
Right.
Here's the background.
That's a person.
That's a person right there.
Or an entity that resembles the shape of a person.
Yeah. Well, let's finish the rest of this.
She says when she got a look at the photo on her mobile, she saw a dark female.
Never mind. Look at that. Nothing.
Right.
And it looks like the space is a little bit different for when that picture was taken. Like, yeah, they were like slightly off. So like the angle was slightly off there, and then there. You could see kind of the cell.
Looks like she got a little closer, like the photographer.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, it's not enough to where, look at that. I mean, it's there, and then kind of see it.
Well, it's fading before it fades to the
and
next
then it's
picture.
there.
Yeah.
saw a dark female figure. She looked at the window again, and there was nobody. Now, at first, her boyfriend said that he thought it might have been Sheila's reflection in the window, but they noticed the woman's hair and clothing were from a different era, like the 30s or 40s. That couple, they talked to Mail Online. They said they couldn't wait to get off Alcatraz, gave them the creeps. They got back home with their spooky souvenir. Officials publicly dismiss any reports of ghosts, but former guards and park rangers seem to swear by paranormal oddities on the rock. Pam?
Former guards. I think the testimony of people who were there is more credible than officials saying, no, don't look here. Nothing's going on here. Oh, sweet. We have some feedback here in the chat. Let's see. I'm cold. He says, or she. I woke up at 3 to 4 a.m. Witching hour. There we go. Had a weird vibe. Dark, heavy vibe. My bunkie walked to the bathroom after I laid back down and he never came out. 5 or 6 our nurses ran in the pod and brought him out on a stretcher. Okay. We'll get to Shannon's after. It looks like Cold's talking more. You could feel the dark, heavy energy in there. Interesting. Do you think that something responsible for that dark, heavy energy was following him? Like,
that's interesting.
And actually harmed him to where the OR nurses ran in and brought him out on a stretcher. Is this also, is this, you said Bunky, is he okay? Like,
yeah, was he okay?
Was he okay, and has he been able to communicate with you and let you know what he experienced?
Let's see what Shannon and Nebby said. Had woken up from sleeping, and I looked around my room and looked towards my closet, and I saw him and yelled, "You're not welcomed in my room. Please leave." Afterwards of saying that he was gone. I've seen him multiple times in selfies or just random pics.
Seeing something in the selfies freaks me out.
Post some of those pictures to our group?
Yeah, please. If you have any of those pictures, please share them to our group.
It's Paranormal, Haunted, Creepy Places, and Ghost Stories Welcome Home on Facebook.
We'd love to see those pictures.
My time is 2:59 to 4 a.m. It's always
around
that
time. Witching hour. I mean, that's what it's colloquially called, but it's also where lots of reported UFO abductions happen, where people experience seeing cryptids, like lots of paranormal things happen at 3 a.m.
I'd be curious to see about the moon, too. See how that's related to it.
Well, the moon is in different phases every day. Like every day, like the 3 a.m. thing is an everyday thing. That's not just on specific days. I'm not discounting how the moon plays a role in this, but I don't know if the moon is related to it being 3 a.m. Like what its position in the sky is at 3 a.m. You're saying?
Maybe.
But it's got different phases every day.
But it's still always there.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Something to look into.
That is something to look into. Yeah, that 3 a.m. thing. I mean, some of the experiences I had where I've experienced sleep paralysis was at 3 in the morning. I've also had many experiences at, oddly enough, so I used to work overnights, and I got used to, well, even before I worked overnights, actually, I was just a night owl. Couldn't sleep well. I couldn't go to sleep. Oddly enough, I couldn't go to sleep really till 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock most nights. I never really experienced anything while I'm just wide awake. No, actually, that's a lie. I have experienced some things wide awake. That's for a different day. But some sleep paralysis experiences I have had were around 6 in the morning. One was when I was working overnights. One was at around 7 in the morning. And another one was middle of the... it was late afternoon. It was probably like between 7 and 9 p.m. My other experience was. So out of the 3, I've had sleep paralysis a lot. I mean, I used to intentionally put myself in that state as a method of trying to astral project and lucid dream. It started off with lucid dreaming, and I'll get into way more details, but I used to do this meditation to like go into sleep paralysis, it's called walking into a dream, and I would do that and then astral project, and like I've successfully done it out of my own free will once. And then all of the times after that, and I have astral projected as a kid unintentionally. You know, I was like 5, 6 years old. All of a sudden, I'm floating above my body, looking at myself sleeping in bed, and nothing around me. I don't see anything. It's just like, whoa, what's this? This is a weird dream.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, when I like really look into this stuff, and then I actively tried to practice it, I'm like, I've done it before accidentally. Let me try to do it again. Did it intentionally, and then there goes a bunch of experiences that follow that. But the 3 to 4 p.m., I don't have much. I have a couple, but much that happens around there. But many, many, many people's stories, paranormal encounters, many different, from all around the whole myriad of things that are covered under the paranormal umbrella happen at 3 to 4 p.m.
Mine was at 3 something.
Right? It's witching hour, sure. That's just the colloquial name for it, but it's also... There's also other names for it, but the 3 to 4 p.m., there's something about that time.
I don't know what happened to him. Never
Who?
seen him again.
Who said
I'm cold.
I'm cold. I'm cold. I don't know what happened to him. Never seen him again. He left the next day. Thank God. Yeah, thank God you left. Hopefully all is well with that poor man. They were able to help him out.
Yeah. Shannon and Nebby. Funny thing, I have tried looking for them, and they have disappeared. The pictures.
Yeah,
that's happened.
That's weird. Wait. You were... Funny thing, I've tried looking for them and they disappeared. You looking for the pictures or looking for them in the pictures, and you still have the pictures, but they're gone from the pictures? That... Just a little bit of clarification there. I'm Cold says, jail's an evil place. I think dark entities feed off the energy. You experienced it. I would agree with you without ever having experience being there myself. I would agree with you just because of it houses a collection of some people who don't justly belong there. Because the justice system isn't perfect. There's some people who get falsely, convicted. But lots of people who are genuinely convicted for committing absolutely crazy. And there's also a difference between felonies, which land you in prison versus just jail. The severity of the crimes. But a lot of it's a house it's a building, it's a structure that houses tons of people who have embraced that negative evil energy. And not all people, I'm not saying all people that go there have that, but a lot of them do.
I mean, it's something like coming in there and feeding off that, the hopelessness
right
of that situation is just...
And what we were talking about earlier, the recidivism rate, like somebody who goes there, like it turns, like I know somebody personally who was locked up for marijuana, and their whole life is messed up because they didn't do much. They didn't do a long time. They came out. They've been in and out 2 or 3 times, I think. I know they've definitely been in there 2, so they were in and out at least once. In, out, back in. So once, twice. I don't know about the 3rd time, but the people they meet and the connections they make in there, they get involved. I mean, like it's a different. It's different. It's like going into the military and then going back to being a civilian.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to readjust. People going in there and living in that world, and then you come back out. You got to readjust. So I'm cold. I hope you didn't spend too long there, for your sake, and I hope that you don't end up back there. You just don't seem to have enjoyed the dark entity, the evil energy and dark energy that you felt around that place. So hopefully that keeps you out.
Shannon and Nebby, I have another story back in 2019. I had a movie theater job, got off at 2:30 to 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I live with my parents. The back of the house has a door block off the rest of the house, and it's 3 a.m. on the dot. I close my door to my room, and I'm the only one in the back at the time, and I hear bare feet running up to my door. The pictures are gone.
Okay. Is there any more? Is that the bottom of the chat?
That was it, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you heard this story earlier, but the feet thing, like hearing the footsteps, it's another especially when nowhere's there. It is a very eerie feeling hearing that.
Yeah. She closed the door. Wait.
I'm just going back.
On the dot. Close my door to my room, and I am the only one in the back at the time. Hear bare feet running up to my door. Yeah, that bare feet too, because you're hearing like the little like slap, 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 slap of bare feet. Well, it depends on what the floor surface is, but like, I mean, my son's learning to walk right now, and I hear his bare feet on the wood floor, and it sounds like little like
pitter patter.
Like you hear that.
Yeah.
You can tell it's bare feet. It's the skin hitting the floor. Pictures are gone, but it scared me. All right, let's go back to what I'm Cold said. No, he had something in the chat there. Up a little bit. Shannon, you got a visit from Indrid Cold. Who's Shannon? Oh, Shannon. That's that. Okay, duh. Shannon and Nebby. Indrid Cold.
You walk in there like you just walked into the gates or something. It scared me. I don't blame you.
Yeah, no. I love hearing these stories, though. I absolutely love when people have the courage and desire to share their stories, because it does take courage. It really does, because you got to not care what other people think, because you experienced your experiences, and nobody's going to tell you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can tell you didn't experience them.
The Alcatraz, I mean, the stories contribute to the mystique surrounding Alcatraz Island, but it's important to approach them with an understanding of subjective nature of paranormal experiences. Like we say, your experiences can vary.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why it's so important that you take that healthy dose of skepticism when you're looking at these things, but you leave the door open to hear these people's experiences, hear other people's experiences, because these people, everybody who shares an experience, like I just said, has the courage to share it. They are sharing it because they believe it. I'll say 99% of people, not accounting for the 1% that is just making stuff up. But it's very important to listen, hear them out, and then take that with what you will. You can believe it or not if you want to or not, but these people are absolutely believing them.
Speaking of other people's experiences.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were going to feature some experiences today. We mentioned last week. So before we conclude today's show, brace yourselves as we delve into the mysterious realm of the paranormal, exploring 3 community submissions. That's right, 3 of them. 3. Every week we're going to be discussing 3. The potential of maybe more going up in time, but for now, it's 3. 3 paranormal community submissions from our Facebook group that are sure to send shivers down your spine.
One moment. I'm going to share the screen real quick. So right here.
Are we muted?
Shouldn't be. Imagine if we were muted the entire time. I would just shut the stream off.
No, just want to make sure, because usually when you share the screen, it's a YouTube video.
So, I don't know if I'm butchering this name. Camilio Tarango? Tarango?
It looks like Camilio Tarango.
Yes.
Shared with us that they said they have had a spirit following them since they were a kid, and they really don't think it's a good one, especially after last night. So this was shared with us 3 days ago. So that means 4 days ago, they woke up with a cord being wrapped around their neck a couple times, and they say, believe them, it was tight. Excuse me.
And I responded, are you okay? It's been 3 days.
I'm praying she's okay. He's okay. Camilio. Really hope you are okay, and hope that this cord being wrapped around your neck didn't get worse and something tragic happened. Really, really, really hope you're okay. If you are, please respond to the comment and let us know that you're okay, because we are genuinely concerned, because this is something that is definitely spine chilling, to say the least. I mean, I've woken up, from nothing weird going on, and having weird paranormal experiences, but nothing where I'm physically harmed. The closest was during one of my sleep paralysis episodes. I felt an entity pushing down on my chest, like it was trying to suffocate me, help me, keep me from breathing, but nothing where anything around me was used to try to harm me. Like, it's not like I woke up with my cell phone around my neck.
Yeah,
that's terrifying. So once again, Camilio, I pray that you are okay.
Going from Cindy
Bracone?
Bracone. I have been literally followed by spirits for many years at different locations. It could be annoying, and they have left evidence at times. They steal things so often that whenever I leave the house, I rig the door so as to indicate if someone has actually entered to gaslight me for some unknown reason. Though I am usually home when things happen. There are too many to talk about here. I've considered writing a book. At times I feel like Tom Hanks in Castaway, when the mast of his raft was ripped away, as he said helplessly, "I don't know why." I do have pictures of a few of the phenomenon. I did ask if Cindy would share some of the photos, but it has also been 3 days, and we were also worried about Cindy.
Hopefully, Cindy, you're okay. That is the thing about this experience that interested me, though, why I think we chose this one, was because of the things being moved and taken. I don't really hear of things being taken. Things being moved, yeah. Things being taken, like they're gone. Like, can't find them again. What are these things? And please, if you are okay, please share those photos with us. We would really, really like to look at them and see what kind of things you're experiencing there. Whatever you have captured on photo, as we were discussing today, it's really hard to capture evidence. So any little bit of evidence you do have, like, feel free to lead with the evidence. Just post a picture and share your experience about it. Like, if you're comfortable, of course, with sharing those pictures or videos. And for all future applicants that submit, or submissions, I should say, for all future submissions to our Facebook page, definitely feel free to include the evidence right off the bat, like just from the start, so we can have more substantial conversations about your experiences.
Let's just do a quick recap of the chat real quick. I'm Cold says I'm free now. Charges got dropped.
Hey, congratulations.
Only did 11 days. Well, there you go.
11 days and you had experience like that already? Wow.
Shannon and Nebby, it's a wood floor hallway. Scared me big time. I didn't sleep that night. But since then, my uncle is in one room next to me and my brother is in the other next to me. But I still hear a lot at night.
Jail scares me more. I'm Cold says jail scares me more than a haunted house. Yeah, that's
Shannon.
That's a physical experience you're having in real life. That's you don't need to try to explain something that's unexplainable. It's really right there, right in front of you. I mean, other than your weird experience you just had that you shared with us today about your bunkmate or your cellmate that just got rushed out of there. But like I said, congratulations that you were all charges were dropped. I pray for you and hope that everything's going to be okay and you don't end up back there.
Shannon and Nebby, but my house is 100 years old. It's your house. I still live with my parents, but I've gotten used to it, but it freaks my boyfriend out. I can definitely post some stories, encounters on your Facebook page or Messenger, whatever works. If you're willing to share it with everyone in the group, I mean, most people are friendly.
The majority of
people, but there's always going to be some people.
But most of the people in the group are eager for posts, for submissions, for things to talk with other people about, other experiences. So for the most part, I mean, all of us in the admin of the group are very welcoming, and we encourage people to share these things. So whatever you're comfortable with, if you want the messenger, I mean, you're about to see on the next story, I believe you're going to see the name of the group. So if you need the group name, I mean, I'll repeat it again once now. It's called Paranormal, Haunted, Creepy Places, and Ghost Stories, period. Welcome home, period.
This next story gained a lot of traction on the group. Let's check this one out. So it says, Jenny Parkin says, my grandma passed away nearly 2 years ago. We set up a motion detect camera to keep a check on Granddad. As I walk past the curtain in my grandma's house, I hear it pull shut. I did not catch myself on the curtain as I walked past. I did not touch the curtain at all. You can see me pull it from the top.
No, you can
Or no,
see it.
You can see pull it from the top. Like I said, I can't read today. These curtains are not easy to close as they are stiff. You could see them be pulled from the top as I've already walked past. I didn't realize they moved until I watched it back. I just wanted to share this. We believe it's my grandma. We just noticed that there is an EVP at the end of the clip too. We think it says that picture is beautiful. I'm carrying a picture of my grandma and granddad.
Does anyone else hear it? I didn't hear that at the end because I was so focused on the curtain moving in the beginning. So we're about to go through this together with you guys.
So the area in question is right over here. So I'm going to mute so we can listen to this. Let's take a few things here. We have...
Whoa, hold on a second. I need to gather myself.
First, we have
Okay.
the blinds moving right here.
Right.
Keep it back. We can see both hands. I don't see anything clipped to her jacket or anything loose when she turns around here.
What I did notice, though, is she said that she did not notice it until she looked at the video, but she looks back for some reason.
I think she hears it, but she probably just...
Oh,
I
she
mean,
didn't know they
it
were
happened
open.
so quick.
Right. She probably heard something, looked, and didn't see. Okay, that makes sense.
So right here, you can see it pulled from the top because of the motion from it.
Right. And it's pretty rapid. Like,
yeah.
even if it was just her jacket or the picture she's holding getting caught on the curtains,
You think it would move with her?
I would move with her at the same pace that she's walking.
And it would come this way, not towards.
As she's like walking through the little narrow part right there, I think it's possible. It is possible for the picture to get caught, but it would maybe move maybe a quarter or a fifth of the distance that it did move. I just think that it moved way too rapidly to have been like in relation to her movement speed, like to how fast she was moving, to have been just pushed by her. Just play it one more time. Play it one more time. The only way that I think those curtains would move that way is if somebody was literally standing in front of it and yanked them shut. Because it moved that fast. She was not moving that fast.
Let's play that EVP at the end. It's like it notices the picture there and then says, it does kind of sound like that. I mean, there's
I didn't hear beautiful, but I did hear
the picture.
That picture. So, and it sounds like a female voice.
Kind of old.
Kind of old. Yeah, does it sound like that to you?
It does sound, yeah. One more time.
Yeah, they're muted. Yeah, maybe if I gave it another listen to with some like headphones, I could hear the beautiful part, but I don't hear that beautiful part. Let's see, we got a couple
Wow. I can definitely. Kaden Noel says, "Wow, Shannon Nebby, I do hear something, but can't tell what it is, and it stops very quick. When will you go live again? We're live every Monday at
7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, does sound like a female voice to me too. Yeah, if you want to give that video a closer listen through, you can also check that out in the group, in the paranormal group. So if you're going to be sharing anything in there, you can go down to the other post that we posted last week to invite other people to share. So we're in the midst of discussing making a notification to all of the members in the group that any stories they share can be potentially discussed on this show, or if we're just going to continue doing making a one post a week, everybody share your stories on this post. Whichever way will get more engagement, I think would probably be the best. But for now, definitely join the group. Definitely share your stories with us, and any picture evidence or oops, I'll take care of that. Any picture evidence or video evidence or anything like that.
So, thank you for tuning into this episode of Beyond the Hub podcast. Your support fuels our curiosity, and we're grateful to have you with us as we navigate through the unknown.
And definitely a big shout out to each and every one of you for being part of our growing community. Your enthusiasm is what makes this journey so exhilarating.
Stay tuned, folks. Next week, we're gearing up for another thought-provoking episode that promises to keep you on the edge of your seat.
The exploration continues, and we can't wait to have you back for more revelations.
Remember, your questions and theories fuel our discussions. Keep them coming.
But until then, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.
Thank you for being part of Beyond the Hub family. Once again, this is Beyond the Hub podcast, where the realms of the paranormal and conspiracies collide, and the truth is waiting to be unveiled. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.